Welcome guys to my new course on Python programming language. In this course we are going to discuss about Python programming from basic to advanced. As you all know, AI is emerging these days and Python is that way for you which helps you to achieve the results in AI faster. There are many AI libraries already available developed by most popular companies like Google. So you can use these libraries if you know Python, right? So for that you need to understand the basic syntax and terminologies we use in Python programming. Then we will go to the advanced parts like how you can build your own recommendation systems, how you can build the face recognition system in Python. So in that you will need to use AI libraries developed by many other expert developers and that will be available in Python only. Okay. Before understanding the Python programming language, in this episode, we will discuss about some fundamentals which you need to know how these programming languages works. Okay. As you all know, our computer systems are made up of two things, hardware and software, right? So if you are very beginner and don't understand this programming world, so here you will get basic understanding of how computer systems exactly works in this episode. So basically in computer systems we have hardware and software. As you can see in the left side we have the hardware. So the monitor, the mouse, the keyboard, CPU, whatever we have externally available in our computer systems, that is called as hardware. And software is a set of programs in which you give instructions to hardware. Okay. So what does that basically means is, to understand this better, suppose in the keyboard you have pressed the key M. Okay. So this keyboard is a hardware. Like now when you press this key M here, some program is being executed in the operating system level. Okay. In the OS level. Now OS can be Windows, Mac, Linux, any OS you can use, but the feature will be same. For example, if you press the keyboard key M from the hardware, that for this key M some program has already been written into the OS. Okay. So OS will see that M is pressed and it will return M on the monitor screen. Okay. So whatever you see in the monitor in the laptop, that will be displayed here on the monitor screen. So that's how this software and hardware works. So basically you can consider it as a program through which you can connect with hardware, and this program is being written in many formats. Okay. So as we proceed further, you will get to understand how computer understand this software programming languages. Now we have the classification of computer languages. Here we have two languages, low level language and high level language. Okay. In low level language, we have the machine language and assembly language. And in high level languages, we have the C programming, Java programming, Python programming. These are the programming languages in high level. These are the programming languages which we human can read in English, right? If you have seen any programming language that is written in high level language. But the low level languages are the languages which is difficult for humans to understand, but machines can read it very well. Now consider this example. Suppose we have one human, one person, and we will name it as Steve. Okay. And this person speaks English. And there is another person. Okay. We will name it as Steve. And we will name it as Mike. Now this person also speaks English. Okay. Mike also speaks English and Steve also speaks English. So what does that mean? Whatever Steve will speak, Mike will understand. Okay. Now consider this another scenario where we have Steve. Okay. And he speaks English. So I will denote it with E. And this is person Steve. And there is this another person Mike who speaks Hindi. Okay. Who speaks Hindi in Indian language. Now this is Mike. Now whatever Steve will speak, Mike will not understand because Steve will speak in English and Mike know Hindi. So here there is this conflict, right? For both of these persons, Steve and Mike, to understand each other what they are speaking, we need one translator. Okay. I will denote it with T. What will be the purpose of this translator? Whatever Steve will speak, this translator will understand that and communicate with Mike in his language, in Hindi. Okay. We are giving the input of English to translator and translator is converting that in Hindi and communicating with Mike. And Mike will again say in Hindi, and this translator will communicate to Steve in English. So I hope you understand the terminology what I'm going to explain. So similarly, computers. So here we have one computer. Okay, we have one computer. This computer understands only the language of 0 and 1s. Okay, so these are called as binary digits. Only the language of 0 and 1s this computer understands. So as a human, I am a human. I don't know how to communicate this language, binary language, right? So what will happen here is I will write one program in Python. Okay, I will denote it with P, then which will be in English language. Okay, now the syntaxes are different for other programming languages. Like for if we use Java programming language, the pattern will be in English, but the syntax will different. So that's what we are going to learn in this course. Similarly, if you are using the C++ programming language, okay, that will also be written in English only. Okay, so if we write the programming language in English, we need some translator in between so that it will communicate with our computer in his language. Okay, in its language. By writing the Python programming language in English, we will provide the input to translator, and the translator will convert it into the 0 and 1 language and communicate with computer. And computer will again provide the output in 0 and 1s, and we will use the translator to see the output in English so that we can read. So that's how the whole terminology works. So here we in low level languages, machine language is that language which I am speaking in the form of 0 and 1s. Okay, assembly language is little bit English type, but that is also more difficult. So here we have to write these mnemonics. Okay, so you don't have to understand all the terminology, but you just get the basic idea how this works. So if we write move a comma b, okay, so that is the instruction to computer. So what this command will do is it will move the files of a to b. Okay, so that's how this assembly language works. So this is not humanly possible for us to understand this. This is the programming language which most expert scientists have used to write the programs. Okay, but right now we are at this stage where we have the English type language, and also we can use the AI like ChatGPT to write the programs for us. Okay, so that input we will provide to computer, and the translator will convert that into the language of computers, which will be in low machine language, which is 0 and 1. That will give us the output. Okay, so I hope you got the idea of computer languages, low level language and high level language. Okay, so as you can see here, computer understands only the language of zeros and ones. Okay, so if we write the program in machine language, that means in 0 and 1s. Okay, so every computer have different architecture. For example, one Windows computer or one Windows laptop has Intel processor and different hardware architecture. So if you write the program in machine language in 0 and 1s, so in one Windows computer that will run. Okay, but if there is a Windows computer with different architecture with different processor, so if you execute this program which is written in 0 and 1, that will not work here. Okay, that is machine dependent only. It will work only in their system only. It will not work in other systems. Whereas in high level language, if I write one Python program, okay, Python programs are denoted by .py. If we write Python program in one computer of Windows, that will definitely run in other computer as well. So that's the main advantage of these programming languages. So that's why these are called as portable languages. We write the program here and we execute it in other computers as well. Okay. Similarly for assembly language, where we have to write the instructions like mov, add for adding the data. Okay, so that will be machine dependent also. Only high level languages are independent. Okay, so as you can see here, the features of high level language, the programs written in these languages are easier to read and understand than those in low level languages. Okay, debugging, it is very easy to find and remove errors in programs written in high level languages. Whenever you write the program in Python, okay, you don't have to worry about the errors. It will automatically detect the errors for you line by line. Okay, So that will be easy for debugging for us. Okay. Portability. As I have mentioned, high level on the programs written for one computer can be executed on any other computer with minor changes or no changes at all. So that's the main advantage of these high level languages. So here are some examples of most popular high level languages: Python, Visual Basic, Delphi, Perl, PHP, ECMS script, and Ruby. So, so this was all about the classification of languages. Okay. So as I have mentioned, whenever you write a program in high level language, you need a translator to communicate with computers, right? So these translators are used for converting high level language programs into corresponding machine language, are known as compilers or interpreters. Okay. What does compiler do is compiler converts a program or source code written in high level language into the machine language before execution. So for example, we will take the example of C programming language. Okay. C programming language, C programs are denoted by .c extension. You have written one program in C programming. Okay. You have written that. Now when you compile this code, because this is written in English language. Okay. So the translator, which is compiler, will take that program and compile it for errors. If there are any errors in this, okay, if there are any errors, it will show that the program cannot be executed further because you have some errors over here. So make sure to correct it before you execute it again. Okay. So here we have errors. So this process is done after you click on the compile button over here. Okay. So when you click the compile button or you give the command to compile the C program, then only you will get to know that there are some errors. Okay. So that's the process for or finding the errors in compiler. If you write the program in C and compile it, compiler will see the errors. If there are no errors, it will create a object code for you. Okay. So it will create a object code for you. Object code means the code which computers understand. It will translate it in the machine dependent language. Okay. And that will be provided to the computer to understand that. And the saved object program, that means this object program, can be executed number of times without translating it again. So you can only provide this file only, the object program, and you can execute this as many times you want. Okay. But in case of interpreter, there is different scenario. Python needs interpreter. Okay. Other languages needs compiler. So we are understanding the Python programming language. So we need to understand interpreter most probably. Okay. So here an interpreter is a language processor that works by reading and executing the source code of high level language program line by line. If there is any error in any line, it reports it at the same time and the program execution cannot resume until that error is rectified. And the object code produced by the interpreter cannot be saved. So every time the program is run, it needs to be interpreted again to obtain the object code. So what does that mean? We have the Python program. Okay. We have written the Python program. Now here, what does interpreter will do is it will see the line, it will check for the errors line by line. When we were using the compiler, we have written the complete program, and when we compile the program, then only we will get to know that there are some errors to resolve. But in case of interpreter, whenever you write any line, it will check for the errors immediately. So that's the main terminology of interpreter. And here, whatever the object code at the end of combining this, after checking all these errors and combining this in object code, this cannot be saved in Python programming language. Okay. When we were communicating in compiler, using compiler, here we have got some object code which was in the language of 0 and 1s that will be executed again and again in the same computer, but in Python it does not happen. Okay. So every time the program is run, it needs to be interpreted line by line again and again to obtain this object code, and this will be provided to the computer system. So this will give us the output. Okay. That's how interpreter language processor works. These translators, which is compiler and interpreter, are called as language processors. Okay. Similar to compiler and interpreter, you must also know assembler. An assembler converts a program written in assembly language into its equivalent machine language. So what does assembler do is, as we have seen assembly language programming where we have used some instructions to guide the computer. So this will be converted into the machine equivalent code, okay, using this assembler. So these are the language processors which are basically used to convert these high level languages into the computer understanding language, okay, in simple words. So I hope you got the idea like how this programming languages basically works. So it's all about a low level understanding and high level understanding of these languages. Now if you want to understand the software, I will give you some introduction of how basic introduction on softwares. Like there are two types of softwares, system software and application software. What system software includes are operating system, which we see Windows, Mac, Linux. So these are the operating systems, okay. Language processors, these compilers, interpreters, assemblers, these are the system softwares. These are predefined system softwares, utility softwares. So and here we have the application softwares, general purpose application software and specific purpose application software. So basically specific purpose application software means when you see, when if you have seen any hotel management system, medical hospital management system where you manage the hospital doctors in the hospital, right? So that is specific to some purpose. So let me show you some examples. Like application softwares are like Word. So the most popular is Microsoft Word, okay. We have the Excel. So these are the application softwares. Microsoft Access, Oracle, Visual Ops Pro, database management system. You might have heard these words. So from this you will get some idea what kind of softwares are application softwares, okay. So you might have heard about Adobe Photoshop. So whatever you install in .exe format, that you can consider it as an application software. PowerPoint, okay. Specific purpose application software means accounting management software, reservation system, HR management system, attendance system, payroll system. So these are attached to some specific purpose or any organization. You might also have heard about the open source initiative. So many times you hear that Google has open sourced this code, OpenAI has open sourced this code. So what does open source means is, open source initiative is an organization dedicated to promote open source software. So what basically open source means is, some company will keep the source code of whatever they have developed to be accessible by all the users or organizations so that they can study and change it at their own levels of quality, growth and innovation. It may or may not be available for free of cost, okay. So depends on the organization which is providing that source code. Most probably that will be available to you for free, okay. So you can use that complete code and replicate it in your own systems and modify it based on your needs. So some open source initiative are, for example, the Android operating system. So the mobile you are using has the Android OS, right? Android operating system. So that is available for open source. So if you have the guts to build your own mobile, you can use the Android operating system to develop your own mobile as well. Mozilla Firefox, so the browser, most popular browser, Ubuntu, Audacity for audio editing, VLC video player. So as you can see, these are some open source initiatives. So where you can find this, you can find it at github.com. All the open source codes mostly available at that. And for Python open source library, we can check out Hugging Face. Okay, we will use the libraries from there when we develop some advanced recommendation systems in this course, okay. So I hope you got the idea of programming languages and softwares, hardwares, how this complete terminologies work. So the purpose of this episode was to give the gist of how the things work in computer languages. In the next episode we will start with Python programming, where we will understand the basic syntax and variables, data types, loops. We will start with that and we will run our first program in the next episode. I hope you got the depth of computer fundamentals in this episode. Okay guys, so that's it for today. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.